Hello, it's Jodie here from The Seven Effect, and I am absolutely delighted to bring you the Great Brain Book Off. So, I'm also really pleased. This is about a week now that I've been playing around with live streaming and testing this new toy that I have called Ecamm. I've had my L plates on, but I think I'm at the stage where I can get rid of those for today. We'll see. They may end up going back on depending on how it unfolds. But one of the things that I need to develop my skills in is bringing in guests and interviewing them. And at the moment, in the team of the Seven Effect, amongst our life design coaches, we've been talking about the brain element. And our resident in house brain master is none other than Toni Everard. So let me just give you a little bit of background around Toni. So I call her my graceful doppelganger because she has a presence of grace and calmness that I often lack. But the funny thing about Toni and I is if you look back in history, we've only known each other for just over a year, but if you look back in history, we've got all these things in common that we were doing around the same time. So we both come from divorced parents. We both are we're very close to our fathers. Our fathers are both in the sort of car and mechanics industry. We both were single mothers for a long time of one child. She has a daughter, I have a son. Her daughter's called Jasmine, my son's called Jazz. We've both dabbled in affiliate marketing and online digital marketing, and we're both really passionate about NLP and building businesses. But there's lots of things that we have that are different about us as well. Whilst we share all these similar values, there's the way we do things, I guess, is slightly different. So I'm absolutely thrilled to bring to you today. Look, we've even got some guests here watching. Hello, Sue. Hello, Sarah. And hello, Joe. Thank you so much for being here. I'm absolutely thrilled to bring to you today our Seven Effect NLP trainer, life design coach, brain guru, and master practitioner. Bring her in. Let's find the right screen. Toni Everard, you are on.
What a welcome. Thanks so much, Jodie. This is a fantastic idea. I've been really excited to come on and do this little book off that we're doing today, which is really exciting. I feel like I need a bit of rap battle music keyed up.
Style, yep.
Yeah. But yeah, look, this is really exciting, and it is. It's always been so just amazing to how we just kept on finding those things that we did have in common. And I think it's interesting because, like you said, there's lots of things we have had in common, but then there's also been lots of differences. And I think one of the big differences for me, and I think maybe it's because I'm a Pisces and you're a Scorpio, we're at those kind of
we're going woo-woo already, Toni.
We're same but different, right? I know, I'm a bit woo-woo.
Yeah.
But one of the things that why I'm so passionate about the brain and NLP and these kinds of things is because whereas Joes, I know that you had this fantastic growing up with having grandparents that were really inspired that sort of entrepreneurial business mind in you, and that you could do anything. I also had my dad and my grandparents were in business, but there was a lot of really hard stories that come out of that about their struggles and how they got done over, and I remember as a teenager saying, I never want to be in business for myself. Like, I've seen that's terrible.
Yeah, I remember one of your first coaching sessions, and you had stuff around that even. Yeah.
And so really, I guess from everything that I do and where I've come to, it's really come from me learning how my brain works and being able to overcome all of those kind of limitations and beliefs that I had. And a lot of these books that we're going to talk about today is really where that all started and got me moving.
Yeah, and what I love, Toni, and we've got Mary here as well. Mary Pallarak is saying hi, Jodie and Toni. We've also got Catherine Jones saying hi, Jodie and Toni. But And look, we've got someone else as well who's in a foreign language. I wouldn't know how to pronounce the name. Dal Ben. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Great to have you here. Look, Toni, we even got people we don't even know watching. Isn't that exciting?
Amazing.
We're going to go viral with the Brain Book Off. But
Oh,
what
yeah.
I love about having you as part of the team here at the 7 Effect, and especially having you on board in the Business Builder this year, is exactly that. You know, you bring this history with you, and we were saying even before this call started how a lot of our business builders say, yeah, but you know, Jodie has this upbringing and she was raised to be like an entrepreneur, and I don't have that. And you do all the NLP coaching now with our business builders. You're able to come at it from a space and saying, well, you know what, I didn't have it either, but we can create that in ourselves. So I'm excited to share the books, and I can't wait to get into it. Just so you all know, when we were talking about all these books through our training in the Life Design Accreditation Program, the list was so amazing that that's what inspired this call. And I think each month maybe we'll do a body book off, a being book off, a love book off, who knows? And so Sarah is saying Jodie is quieter than Toni. So maybe my mic's not working. Is that right? Is that better? Sarah, can you hear me? Hopefully my mic's coming through okay, loud and clear now. It was doing a few funny things there, Sarah. We've also got this person saying a lot of things in a different language. I don't know if we're being trolled, Toni. It's because Toni can't see, just so you all know what's going on in the screen. I can see all the comments. We've got Lucy here saying, hello, ladies, that there's someone with a mask on and the language is in a different script. We don't know what it's saying. It could be saying anything. Let's tell our brains it's fabulous. So without further ado, Toni, let's start with your very first book. What is it?
Oh, I'm up first. All right, excellent. So the first book after Cab Off the Ranks is The Secret Code of Success, Noah St. John. Now, this is actually a book that I come across. I love Audible, so I'm a big Audible fan. I listen to books on the go, and I'm always listening to something. And I love it on Audible because I'll often listen to books more than once. Whereas I'm not likely to do that when I read. It's too boring, but I can listen over again. And Secret Code of Success by Noah St. John is a book that I listened to just earlier this year, actually.
Yep.
And there are some really cool things in this book that I told all of my clients about. I shared in the LBB,
yes.
And everyone's got a big kick out of this. And Noah St. John really looked at, okay, so a lot of people use affirmations. Okay, so I am skinny, I am wealthy, I am successful, these kinds of things. But it's like, okay, so why aren't they necessarily working? Because some people will say affirmations over and over and over again and not really get anywhere with them, right?
Yep. We've all been there, I reckon. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was like, right. So he looked into it and he said, you know what? You know, it's a bit like there's too much of a gap between reality and this thing that we're saying, so our mind rejects it. But the good thing about the mind is that it's a bit like Google, right? If you put in a question, it will give you an answer.
Yeah.
And when you put in a question in Google, you don't sit there and wonder whether I'm going to get an answer. You just expect an answer. And so he said you can do this with your brain. So essentially, whatever it is that you want, so, you know, whether it is that you want to have a successful business or that you want to be, you know, maintain a healthy certain weight, is you ask your mind, why do you have that now?
I love it. Why do I keep losing weight without even trying?
Yeah.
We were having a laugh about
my
that.
calendar full of clients.
Yeah. Why are so many clients knocking on my door?
Yeah. Why is it so fun and easy for me to build a six-figure business part-time?
I love it because you know why? We often say the opposite. Why can't I get a client? Why can't I lose weight? It's so funny. I love how it makes it fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Jodie. When you think about, you're asking those questions, why can't I lose weight? Why can't I get clients? your mind's going to find the answer to that and go, well, here you go.
Yeah.
This is why you can't, and prove it. And so it's self-defeating. So you just simply ask, why do I have the thing that I want right now? And it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of good energy around it, which really helps as well. So that's a hot tip. Affirmations. Thank you so much for that, Noah St. John.
Yeah, book number 1. And Lucy says, love it. Listen to it on Audible. And I know in the Business Builders program, we all had a great kick out of you sharing some of that stuff. So thank you, Toni. All right. Well, I'll see that book and I'll bring in my book is A Whole New Mind. Now, this is actually a oldie but a goodie, and for many people still mind-blowingly new information by a guy called Daniel Pink. And this is a book that I've been talking about quite a bit in the last couple of weeks in the Lifestyle Business Builder. So Daniel Pink in A Whole New Mind talks about the shift from the knowledge worker kind of information age into the conceptual age. And he says that the creative arts and the space where because everything is now being automated, or we have the mass production from outsourcing and, outsourcing to Asia, as well as this whole, systems and engineering that can take over things, mechanics and stuff like that. Technology is what I'm trying to say. He says basically, now more than ever, humans and the human touch is the most valuable resource we can develop as people. And in A Whole New Mind, he talks about the 6 senses we need to develop. And one of them is symphony. And so I see so often people, we had this conversation just this morning on the Life Raft with one of our students in the Business Builder. I've got this part of my business over here and this part of my business over here. How do they come together, Jodie? The reality is, to succeed in the new world, we need to create patterns and symphony and see things all working together. The other senses that he talks about is the art of storytelling, the art of empathy and caring. And so it's all that beautiful human stuff that we can't outsource. So it's a really nice book, but it goes back, it was actually written, I think, 2007. And when I read it, I thought, oh, my time has arrived, because it's all about the rise of the creatives. But still now, I think it's very relevant and a lot of people aren't quite onto it. So that's my first book off the rank.
I love that, Jodie. Patterns and storytelling, and storytelling is a big thing in NLP and hypnosis as well, because the human mind's designed to recognize patterns. So if you can make patterns and you can create patterns and have things fit, in a way, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And storytelling has been around, is such been an effective way for people to learn things for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
And I thought I'd just say, if anyone wants to know the 6 senses, I've got the book here. Design, story, as Toni was saying. So the mastering designs, telling stories, symphony, empathy, play, and meaning. That's what we need to be a high-value human, a whole new mind. All right, Toni, what's your second book?
All right, well, I'll take that book and I'm going to take it up a level. I'll see your book there, and my number 2 book is The Values Factor by Dr. John Demartini.
Boom.
Yeah, and look, this was one of the early books that I got into, and I loved it, and I definitely listened to this one quite a few times. And one of the things so Dr. John Demartini was actually a chiropractor, and he had his own story. He nearly died, overdosed on mushrooms or something, and kind of then transformed his life, and he's gone on to be very, very famous and it really helps a lot of people.
I didn't know that was part of his story, though. I didn't know that part. Did he?
Yeah, he was at one stage like just living in a tent, being a surfer and taking recreational drugs, and he nearly died. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the values factor, what I really loved about this book is he talks about, what's important to you, what do you value? And he tells it in really good stories as well when he explains this kind of thing. So I remember there was one part when he was talking about, there was a lady who wasn't feeling particularly fulfilled in her life, and he was talking to her about, okay, so what's important to you? What do you love? And she said, well, I love travel and I love dance, but I'm too old to be a dancer. Like I can't make a living dancing. And so he worked with her around seeing how these things could fit together. And what she ended up doing was creating a business as a travel guide where she would take people overseas on like dance holidays.
Wow. How cool.
Yeah. And so it was hugely successful. So there was these people that go over to, I don't know, South America, wherever it would be, where they do a lot of dancing, and that became her business, and it was hugely successful, and she loved life. It was amazing. So she brought these things together in a way that she hadn't expected before, but it gave her a lot of fulfillment. And
just from looking at the values as a starting point.
Yeah,
isn't that fantastic? And Catherine's actually saying she's listening to it now on Audible, and that's great. Fantastic.
And so he also just talks about really once you understand your values, anything that you want to do, if you understand what your values are, if you can link enough ways that by doing that thing you'll fulfill your values, you'll be motivated to do that.
Yeah. Love
whatever
it.
that is. So if it's building a business, if it's getting healthy, whatever that might be, link it to your values, what's important to you, and you'll get the motivation to get it done.
Absolutely love it. And as we know, values are a hugely important part of things. Thank you for that one. All right, well, I'll raise you another. Boom. My book is a biggie for me. It's called The Power of Now. Lots of people know this is a big brain book. It's one of the best sellers. And I've got a funny story attached to this. So I was reading The Power of Now and almost going cross-eyed. Have you read it, Toni?
Eckhart
Tolle, yeah.
Yes.
I found
it was really going to be on my list.
Yeah, I found it to be a real brain boggler, and it was like one of those things where you go, hang on a minute, let me try that again. And I loved the concepts, and it took me, I think I needed to read every chapter 2 or 3 times. And soon after I'd read it, I met my current partner, Jace, who you've met, Jason, and he just read The Power of Now too. And he was in a time where he was very zen and this kind of very power of now in the moment, and it was like his Bible. And when we were first dating, we had a lot of laughs together and a lot of fun, and he just, me, I'm not always power of now, I'm very future focused, but he kept trying to bring me back to the power of now, and it was in a joking way, but it got to the point where I would say to Jason, if you fucking bring up that power of now, I'm going to get that book and I'm going to hit you on the head with it. Because it was like, So I have a love-hate relationship with this book. But I would say to anyone, if you struggle with a busy brain and you don't understand what it really means to be present, give it a crack. It's a good book, but it is a brain bender, and you may have to read it a couple of times.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't mind revisiting that one. It's been a while since I read it.
Yeah, and I'll give it a goodie. Don't ever give it to your partner because they'll become really annoying and keep saying, Jodie, just be in the now. Just be in the now, Jodie.
I'm getting like a Seinfeld Serenity Now.
Yeah, it was very much like that, Toni. Very much like that. All right, I'll take mine. What do you got next?
Okay, well, I'll take your power of now, and I'll give you a biology of belief.
Boom. I'm fascinated to hear about this because the cover, which I've got on screen, you probably can't see it, looks freaking amazing. Tell us, Toni.
Yeah, so the biology of belief, Dr. Bruce Lipton. So Bruce Lipton is a famous cell biologist. So he's done a lot of scientific research into cells, and he's very much into the body, mind, spirit connection.
Yeah.
And epigenetics. Okay, so it's very much looking at
epigenetics. What is that, epigenetics?
So epigenetics is where we're going above, that things are just passed down through DNA, and that we can have our own basically effect on our cells. And he specifically looks at it through our thoughts. So how do our thoughts have an impact on the cells in our body?
Mind blowing. Leanne's
Yeah.
saying hi, by the way. She just jumped in. And Lucy's saying right now, how good is Bruce Lipton? People are getting around it. Catherine's saying, love this. So, interesting.
He is amazing. And you can find lots of stuff. Bruce Lipton's got heaps of stuff out there. He's a really switched on guy, but he's also very down to earth, and he's got a good sense of humour and that kind of stuff as well. Right. So it's really easy to take his information in.
I'm not familiar with any of his work, but it's getting lots of love hearts, Toni. Getting lots of love for this one.
No, I definitely recommend this one, and it's very much about how can we change our body by basically training our thinking.
Yeah.
And so this is, really when we start looking at that body-mind connection, and even the spiritual connection into it, why it's so important for us to work on our minds for the health of our body as well.
Yeah, love it. Okay, that one's going straight to the top of my list to check out. I'm not familiar with it at all, so really good. Okay, I'll take your biology of beliefs, and I'm going to throw this one at you. The new PsychoCybernetics. Have you listened to this one? I haven't read the book, but I have listened to it on Audible, and I'd love to know what you think of it. But basically, when I listened to it, it was like, okay, it's all just a process. We can understand and reprogram and change our lives by changing our brain. And it's kind of like it left me feeling like we all have a remote in our head. We just forget to use it and to control it. And I loved listening to PsychoCybernetics because it gave me a really good blend of some scientific talk as well as some practical applications. I'd love to know what you think of it, Toni.
I did. I did listen to that one, I think, last year. And, definitely. And I think what I love about all these kind of books, and it's all along the same lines as NLP and hypnosis and all these things, is that it all comes down to basically the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's like when you get an understanding of the mind, there's lots of different ways at looking at it. And I think all of these books will give you a slightly different way of looking at things. But it really just comes down to the same stuff about how our mind works and how you can be in control of your own mind and get the results that you want.
Absolutely. And that's what's really lovely about it. But I'm noticing, even when you gave me your list, I thought, okay, there's a bit of a flow, and they are matching because I understand, I guess, the essence of each book, and I did a bit of research around where your books are coming from. Some of them are more roadmaps and ideas of character traits to take on, like the values, the essence of the whole new mind, and the six senses. Some of them are more about the mechanics and the epigenetics. So where are we going next, Toni? What's your next one?
All right, so I'll take your PsychoCybernetics, and I'll give you the work on relationships by Byron Katie.
Oh, beautiful.
Now we're kind of shifting gears a little bit here, and I listened to this book last year, and again I listened to it several times because I loved it. I absolutely loved this work. Byron Katie, she has a process called The Work. And this particular one is around relationships. And why I really love this is because I'm not sure if this is a Byron Katie quote or if I heard it somewhere else, but basically if we look at the fact that our relationships aren't here to make us happy, they're here to teach us.
Yes, love it.
And, when in NLP we talk about perception is projection. And what that essentially shows up like a lot, and Carl Jung actually said what we tend to do is marry our unconscious mind and then project all that crap onto them.
Pretty sure I've done that a couple of times. Not that I've married twice, but nearly every relationship. And this is a lot about what the work is about as well, because a couple of the questions that she asks in there is, because people will be saying, my partner never listens to me and they always do this and that, this kind of stuff. And one of the questions she asked is that really true? Is that true? Yeah.
And because, often we're saying these things and exaggerating them, and is it really true?
Yeah.
Well, no. And then the other thing that she says is, okay, now turn it around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so essentially then you have to apply what you're accusing someone else of to yourself.
Yes, which I love.
Yeah, and to see where you resonate with that, because that's where this stuff comes from. You know, the people around us in our relationships are our greatest lessons for where we need to do the work for ourselves.
Yeah, I love it. And we've got Ali saying, this is great, girls. Thanks for watching, Ali. That's brilliant. And look, Vico's here saying hello as well. We've got the whole tribe here, Toni. Isn't this
I know, it's a party. Good
yeah,
Friday
it's a total party. Brain book party. When I saw this on your list, I was so excited because Byron Katie is one of my heroes, and I reckon I've listened to this, and I know I'm an exaggeration queen, but I reckon I've listened to this maybe 100 times. Like, there was a time when I'd listen to it on Audible and then I'd just listen to it again. And for those of you that are in the space of coaching people through emotions, seriously listen to it and how she talks people through the work. She uses humor and she's fun, but she's empathetic and endearing. And I literally have goosebumps, Toni, just thinking about this stuff. So love your choice. You've got bloody good taste in books. But guess what?
I probably got that one as a recommendation from you, Joyce.
Yeah, I reckon I told you to do it. I'm glad some of the stuff I say rubs off.
No, I love a good book recommendation. That's why I think this is so great, you know.
Yeah. All right, so let me raise that one for you. I'm going to throw at you a very deep book, and it's the one that I was reading just probably before it led me to the work. It's called The Course in Miracles. It looks like a big giant Bible. It's not actually a religious book, and I have to tell you, I wouldn't go diving straight into The Course in Miracles. What I would do is get Marianne Williamson's Return to Love workshop on Audible, if you haven't heard that. But she teaches The Course in Miracles. Marianne Williamson is the best teacher of Course in Miracles that I've come across on the planet. She's also, like Byron Katie, one of my heroes. But here's what I love about the Course in Miracles. It's a brain training program. There's 365 days of meditation in it. And what it teaches us to do, what it can teach you to do, is train your brain to not create meaning around things that may not have meaning. And one of the things in the Course in Miracles that you learn to practice is nothing has any meaning except the meaning I give it. And it's all about really connecting to the source of love. And it says that love is to fear like light is to dark. So if you're in fear and living in the dark, we just need to make the conscious choice to shift to love. And when you listen to Marianne, I get more goosebumps with this one. When you listen to Marianne Williamson's teach A Course in Miracles in her Return to Love workshop, it healed me from a broken heart and being bitter and twisted about a bastard of a man. And I got to a space where I really did love this person without needing to have their approval back, and I just could feel pure love for someone that I was before feeling hate and resentment towards. So absolutely beautiful book. Have you done the Marianne Williamson, or have you dived into the miracle of the Course in Miracles?
No, I have to say that is one that's on my list that I haven't been drawn to as of yet. But
did
it's
I sell it to you just
actually.
then?
Hey?
Did I sell it yet?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when you were just saying about, you know, nothing's really happened, or it's only the meaning we give it, I was talking to one of the benefits about being a coach and a NLP person is that I have a whole community of them. So I Skype with different coach friends, and I was talking to one of the guys that I did training with, who's based in Brisbane, and we catch up about once a month, and I was telling him about some stuff that had happened in my life, and he goes, but Toni, what really even happened?
Yeah.
Because nothing even really happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, he goes, just think about it. Nothing's really even happened, isn't it? You're still just here sitting in your chair talking to me. Like, nothing's really happened.
Oh, God, he sounds like Jason with the power of now. Jodie, that was in the past. Be in the now.
And it was funny at the time. I was like, when I did kind of take that on board and just go, yeah, nothing even happened. I was just like, that's so much more That's so much better. I feel relieved.
Just let it go. Let it go. And Sue's saying she just read about Marianne Williamson in Change Your Life in 7 Days. Interestingly enough, being in part of the accreditation, I throw that book in. It's not on my list, anyone, which I thought about putting it in, but I thought, no, I won't. But Sue's mentioned it here, Change Your Life in 7 Days by Paul McKenna, which is another great brain book, really. So thanks for that one, Sue. That is a great one. Throwing it in. By the way, if other people have books that they want to post in the chat, please let us know. We would love that. Catherine's got a comment here as well. She says it fits with I have to move this out so I can see. It fits with the psychological paradigms I teach, though is neutral. It's the story we assign to it that gives it life. And you know what, Catherine? That's what I love about the Course in Miracles. From my perspective, it was the place where psychology, and Marianne Williamson says this, it's not my own genius working it out, but this is her words, where psychology and spirituality meet. And it's almost like when you listen to it and you understand it, you go, oh, there's just simplicity in everything. And all these layers are different, just different interpretations of exactly the same thing. So love that. All right, what do we got? Where are we going next, Toni? Oh my God.
All right, so coming up next, I've got on my list, this book's pretty intense. Unfortunately, you can't get it on Audible. I did read it. I've actually got it here. I'm guessing you've got a picture of it, but it's a fair-sized book.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
This is Values and the Evolution of Consciousness.
Never heard of it and never heard of this person, so tell us about it.
So this book has been written by Dr. Adriana James, who is one of my mentors and teachers. She's a master trainer of NLP, and it's based on the work of Dr. Claire Graves.
Right.
And also, you'd probably be familiar, Jodes, with spiral dynamics.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. I reckon only through you, though, not familiar in my own way. I think we've had...
in like the Coaching Bible or something like that, I reckon.
Oh,
who does
maybe.
That?
Yep.
Yeah, but it talks about... yeah.
I probably taught it. I've probably got a module on it somewhere.
But the Values and the Evolution of Consciousness really talks about how our thinking evolves through different values through time.
Okay.
And it goes, we can go back to, originally when people just would hunt and eat on their way as they were nomads and travel around. Yep. And then, then they sort of got into tribes and then, they come out, it was like, oh, stuff the tribe, I want to go on my own and might is right. And so each kind of level evolves.
Wow. So it's like an evolutionary psychology of the human species.
Yeah, and it's essentially, it's talked about as it's in a spiral. So that, it's always sort of coming back on itself, but evolving.
Wow.
And what I really love about this is it just explains the way people are and where conflicts come into at just a different level than what we normally sort of look at. And so what I find really interesting is especially in Lifestyle Business Builder, where people are sort of at that space where, maybe they've been in a job and they've had enough of working in a job and they want to move into being a business owner.
Yeah.
That's actually a big evolutionary step.
It is.
In thinking.
Yeah. We can see that in the group. It's like swimming upstream. I've got this goddamn employee mindset and this drive and entrepreneurial vision. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it is. It's this big shift. And in this values book, it talks about values levels 4, which is very about getting degrees and certificates and having rules and books and manuals and procedures and that kind of stuff, where we're often in a job. And then going into values level 5, which is more about sales and business and creating and competing and win-win situations and all those kinds of things. And so, there's always this universal model of change that happens in between these values levels changing, where we sort of, it's almost like that 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah. As we're learning, we get the learning plates like I had on before, the kind of rookie area.
Yeah, but it's just fascinating. So that's one of my Bibles. It's actually, I teach these values in Master Practitioner NLP. So Master Practitioner, we go into values levels and how that works through people's evolution. And it's really based on that, you know, as we go from making complex solutions from simple problems to simple solutions from complex problems.
Love that. I love that shift. And you know what? I really love, this is going to go on my list as well. Thank you, Toni, because I love a book that's got a good level of depth and substance to it. Can I just ask, in terms of those values, does it give us practical things to be doing if we want to go from values level 4 up to 5? Does the book give us some to-dos or strategies?
Yeah, well, look, I really look at this as well when I'm doing breakthrough coaching with business builders as well, because there's so the evolution of thinking really comes from when we get over certain fears. So each level has certain fears. And once you like go, right, I've had enough of this, and those fears is when you kind of expand and find that next expansion of thinking to another set of fears.
It's like, Mom, there's new ones. These are exciting.
So, the good news is there is like a level that you get to where you essentially lose all of those fears. You can still access the resources from all those different levels of thinking, but you don't have the fears of safety or you know, money or all those kinds of things. So
I love it. Geez, Toni, you're bringing out the big guns. You brought your A game. You brought your A game, my friend. Okay, well, let me bring you, talking of depth and, taking complex stuff and making it simple, I'm going to throw at you this one. It's a beautiful book and it's called The Happiness Advantage. I'm making my books bigger now because I think if I put them bigger on the screen, that might be more impressive. I'm only joking, but I just thought I'd make it a good size. But basically, The Happiness Advantage, for those of you that haven't read it, for me was a real research Bible for a while, and I would ride my bike around, earphones plugged in, just listening. It made me happy to listen to the research of how the brain is hardwired and what the different things are that cause us happiness and not cause us happiness. And so Shawn Achor talks about the pursuit of happiness being something that people often think only comes once I'm successful, but it's the other way around. And there's some fascinating scientific research that he maps out and tells stories around in really funny ways. And one that stood out for me was, I can't remember the research lady's name now. She's very famous, and this body of research that she did is very famous, and I should have looked her name up, so apologies to her. But basically she took a group of aged men. They were probably late 60s, maybe early 70s, 15 or so of them, and she took them back in time to a retreat. So they were put for 30 days, I think it was. Have you heard about this one?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, Eleanor, I think her name is, or Ellen Langer, I think she might be. So she took these guys, she put them away in this retreat, and she gave them identity cards that put them back in time, and all of the stuff in this locked up space, it was kind of like a Big Brother house, was winding the clock back at least 20 years, I think. Before they went into the house, they tested their eyesight, they tested their mood, their muscle, their strength, all of these things. They took them back in time. They made them live there for an entire month. They had to talk like they were 20 years ago, pretending they had that role. They all had ID cards. All the newspapers and everything they could access was from that era. When they came out of being in there for just 30 days, eyesight increased, strength increased, state of mind increased. And it just goes to show that even the aging process can be part of our brain story telling us, I'm getting old, I'm getting weaker, I'm getting old, I'm going blind, I'm getting old, I'm becoming miserable. And the truth is, a lot of it is just external expectations and stories that we tell ourselves. So if you enjoy, or anyone that's watching this, the science of happiness, I highly recommend Shawn Achor's work, because he takes complex data, and he makes it fun and easy to read in a really entertaining way, but it's got a lot of substance as well.
Yeah, I reckon I read that one like a few years ago, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And yeah,
and you think about it, Toni. Your mic's going a bit funny.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do remember that story about that experiment, and if you think about it, it's a bit like, you know, the biology belief and these things we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing, isn't it? Being proven about where your mind is how much of it affects your body.
Absolutely. Now, before we go on to your next book, we've got a whole bunch of books coming up from our viewers. We've got Mary that says Mindset by Dr. Carol S. Dweck. Have you heard of that one? I don't know.
No, I haven't.
No, thanks, Mary. Great one. We've got Catherine Jones has said Enlightened Gardener by Sydney Banks. Another great one for people to check out. Get on your Googles, my friends.
I haven't heard of that one either.
And Mary's got another good one, which I haven't read yet, Mary, but she is one of my heroes. Everything is Figure-Outable by Marie Forleo. Have you read that one yet, Toni?
No, but I want to get onto that one. I reckon that's good. She's I like Marie Forleo.
Love Marie Forleo. She's totally one of my heroes in business and in life. I pretty much just want to be her or like her. Mary, did you enjoy the book, the Marie Forleo one? Would love to know, thumbs up if you were loving that as well. And Lucy said, yes, loved that Carol Dweck book. All right, Toni, what are we up to? What do you got left? How many are we up to, by the way?
Okay, this is my number 6 book.
Number 6, where are we going?
Number 6 book, we have got Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
I should have
getting a bit more woo-woo.
I should have some.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
What I love about Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's got loads of great stuff. And believe it or not, this guy is another chiropractor. So there's a lot of chiropractors, because obviously the nervous system and the back and the spine is all related with what's going on with our mind. You know, that's the whole thing. Again, we're talking about the body-mind connection, and you know, especially the back, because one of the things that's interesting to know, this is just a little bit off tangent, but
yeah,
all chronic pain that lasts more than 6 weeks, especially through the neck and the back, is emotional.
Yeah.
It's around being repressed emotions. And so there's a lot of this work where people who have been, you know, chiropractors that, have gone deeper into working out how we can work with our brain, starting from, you know, they work with the back and the spine.
That's amazing.
So,
well, it's the centre of it all, really, isn't it? Yeah. And Jodie's saying she loves Dr. Joe as well. Jodie and Talbot's saying, yep.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And again, a really easy to digest type style of content that he has. And in Becoming Supernatural, Dr. Joe really talks about how we can, use types of meditation and how we can use the chakras properly to really, change our energy and heal our body, and to, really create a space. He talks about the pineal gland and all those kinds of things. Yeah. About different kinds of breathing and meditations that we can do that sort of activate that and give us much more clearer thought.
Yeah.
And so that we can heal our bodies as well, and really create our lives and our existence. And he uses that through science as well as a bit of woo-woo and all of that stuff combined. So yeah, he's got a few books actually, but I think that's his latest one. So.
And you know what? I haven't done any of his books or really got around Dr. Joe Dispenza, but lately, in the last 3 to 4 months, it seems that everybody's crashing on him and his work. I just keep hearing about it all the time. So I think the universe is telling me, Jodie, get on it. So thank you, Toni, for the reminder. I will. Speaking of woo-woo, well, it's not really woo-woo though, actually. I'm bringing you now, and I couldn't get a nice picture of it. This is a bit of an ugly picture to have on my screen, but it is a great book. My Voice Will Go With You, and it's The Teaching Tales of Milton Erickson. So, Milton Erickson is probably, we might consider him almost like the godfather of hypnosis. He's one of the most famous and influential hypnotists there is. And when I was doing my diploma of modern psychology, my teacher, Alistair Horscroft from the Mind Academy, told lots of wonderful stories about Ericksonian hypnosis and how he influenced a different sort of stream of hypnosis. And I loved the conversational type of hypnosis. And there's some really cool old video that you can see of Milton Erickson on YouTube. He used to have kind of like groupies or fans that would all come at the university when he was working there and sit with him. And he would just have conversations and be hypnotically influencing them all the time. And this book is actually one that was part of my training to read. And it just gives you the stories and the different hypnosis tales that he used to tell to some of his students. So it's a fun one to play around with. And what I loved about it is it gives a different tweak on hypnosis. Because you know me, with as much as I love NLP and hypnosis, there's parts of it like the anchoring and the rapid inductions and I'm like, no, not doing that. But I love clean language. I love coaching people with NLP while they're in front of me. I love using sensory acuity, and I love this whole idea of hypnotic conversations where we don't need to really put someone in a state of hypnosis as in they're out. And as you know, we're in and out of hypnosis all the time. But to me, this is a really nice take on hypnosis. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, Toni.
Jodie, I'm so pleasantly surprised that you've brought in a Milton Erickson book because, Milton Erickson is one of the three people that Richard Bandler and John Grinder studied. Yes. Yep. When they were developing NLP.
Absolutely.
And it was based on what, like you were saying, what great results he got with his clients just by telling very ambiguous stories.
Yeah.
And so they found, that's essentially the effect of using ambiguous language is it puts people into trance.
Yeah.
And essentially why we want to do that is because then you're able to, the unconscious mind is able to make connections that creates change. So, one of his famous stories was he had a client, and mind you, Milton Erickson, he practiced for 60 years.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? No wonder he was a true master.
Day in, day out.
Yeah.
But one of his famous stories was that he had a client come and see him about weight loss, and Milton Erickson told this client a story about tomato plants.
Yeah.
And how tomato plants just seem to know how to take up the exact amount of water and nutrients to grow to be the perfect size tomato for the type of tomato that they were.
Yeah.
And and so he was fantastic at telling stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the theme, hasn't it, from the start of these books, is really how storytelling comes in as such a powerful way for us to create change in the brain.
Absolutely. And, just even going through this book off, the Great Brain Book Off with you has really got me to go through all my books and look back at, this was 5 or 6 years ago when I studied it. So it's been a long time since I've actually picked this book up and read it. But as you're telling that tomato story and as I'm taking myself back to that classroom with Alistair and going through the master training myself, it was like, that's the kind of work that I love to study. And that's the kind of hypnosis and NLP that really appeals to me. I just find it so cool. And we've got Marty here as well, Marty May. She says she loves the three amigos, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and Greg Braden. So thanks for being here, Marty.
Yeah, he's good as well.
All right, Toni, I think I'm just looking in my thing if we've got any kind of drum roll, but unfortunately in my sound effects, I just have this. Your last book, number 7.
Yes. Now, this book, look, I had to put this book in because I actually come across this book. Have you got a picture of it, Jodie?
I have.
You have. So this is Pajama
Boom.
Meditation by our very own Marty
Marty
May.
May. Yay. Yeah,
So
there it is.
I actually met Marty at a networking thing last year for Women in Business Adelaide, actually,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Here at the Life Design Studio.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we had a bit of a door prize thing, and I was the lucky recipient of Marty's book,
Yep.
Pajama Meditation. Now I am a meditation leader. I've
Yeah.
actually done the whole course. I've not been running any meditation classes, but it's on my to-do list. But anyway, so I won this book, and do you know what? It is just fantastic, and I highly recommend it because, you know, a lot of people, and I know we talk about in the 7 Effect in LBB a lot about the importance of meditation.
Yes.
And a lot of people find it hard to want to take on because they seem to have this belief that, oh my God, I've got to sit around for half an hour and not think about anything,
Yep.
which really isn't what meditation is about at all.
Marty's saying, big love for sharing. Lots and lots and lots of kisses to you, Toni, as well. Thanks for being here, Marty.
Yeah, no, this is great, Marty. I really loved it. And because, you know, it just goes through how simple meditation and mindfulness practices are. So it goes through things like, you know, the 7-point posture positions where you look at, you know, how are you sitting, and you can literally just do things where you focus on the position of your back and your head and your legs and your hands and
practical
and also,
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, your breath, you can meditate on your breath, you can count, you can do walking meditations.
Yep.
You know, there's so many things that you can do. So, you know, there's a really I love this famous picture that sort of describes meditation. That's like there's a monk and an elephant and a monkey, and they're walking up this path.
Yes.
And there's like 9 stages, and the elephant starts off black, and the monkey's running amok, and by the time it goes up to the top, the elephant's all white and the monkey's nicely trained, and you know, and it's this progression of our mind. So, you know, meditation is really just about that, training your mind to be able to stay into a single point of focus and exercising that so that, you know, you're in control of your mind rather than it being some crazy drunk monkey. Yeah. You know.
I love that it's drunk as well as crazy.
Jumping all over the place. But so if you're keen to get into meditation, definitely check out this book. And
you can get it online. Marty, chuck your link in. Come on, Marty. She's here watching. We get her to throw the link in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be as simple as 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be anything hard. So, yes, that's my number 7.
I was absolutely stoked. What a way to end your list, Toni. When I saw that on your list, I was like, oh, my God, I love that, because Marty obviously is in our Business Builder program, and we've been having a lot of jokes in the group because Marty is very passionate about yoga, in particular Kundalini yoga and meditation, but she does it in a very accessible way. So Marty's style is about bringing these ancient practices to everyday people, and you can do it at home in the comfort of your pajamas. And we were saying, you know, with all of these isolation rules in place, Marty, this is your era. Everyone's home in their pajamas. This should become a New York Times bestseller right about now. Let's see if we can make it happen. So great choice. And thanks, Marty, for being here and watching while we celebrate your book. All right. So my final one, when you did the Marty book, I had to do something that was a little bit fun. And my last book is actually called Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain, an oldie but a goodie. And I haven't picked it up, but I know you and I both have a love for the arts as well. And what I love about this book is when I was studying visual arts, 20 odd years ago, the concept of looking at things differently and breaking down what you see and not trying to draw it as you see it, but separate the pieces from it using the left and the right brain in different ways. So drawing on the right side of your brain, and I can't remember how to explain it exactly as it does in the book, but it's about looking at things and seeing the components of it and just drawing what you see rather than going, oh, I'm not good at drawing cars and I'm trying to draw a car as I see it. So I think that if anyone's looking for something fun to do while they're in isolation and at home, and you've got the kids for the school holidays, grabbing a book like this and even doing some of the exercises in it could be a fun and unique way to train your brain as well. It doesn't always have to be about reading or studying, but puzzles, colouring in and drawing is also fantastic for the brain.
I love a bit of colouring in.
Yeah, I do too. And Marty says, the pajama wellness revolution is here. Yeah. Yay for that. Well, Toni, I gave us a massive round of applause. We did it, my friend. High five to you. The great book off of the brain has been done. Thank you so much for bringing your A game and sharing so many awesome books. Thank you, everyone who has watched along and contributed and shared your books. By the way, Marty's got her link there. Check it out, martymay.com.au. Get yourself a copy of the Pajama Meditation book for sure. So, Toni, to wrap it all up, what would be your number one top tip to help people train their brain?
My number one top tip to help people to train their brain is to know that your brain has the ability to change.
Yep.
That is just the number one belief to have, is that you can change your brain. We know there's neuroplasticity and these kinds of things. There's no such thing as you're stuck the way you are. That's completely not true. You can change it in any way. It takes some work, but when you've got the right tools and the right knowledge, you can change your brain in any way that you want to.
So true. And we all have the ability to do that. The research has been done again and again. And look, we've got Annie Bryce saying, love this info, ladies. Would love this for each of the 7 elements. Annie Bryce, coming your way. Watch this space. Every month we'll bring you a book off, and I'll bring in a different expert that's related to the different elements of life. So what a great idea. This has been great fun, Toni.
This has been amazing, Jo. It's a great idea. I really appreciate it, and thank you for having me on. My pleasure. And you want to know what my top tip is? Yes, my number one top tip is go see you. It would be. And I say that in all seriousness. And that's why I brought Toni in. I was so thrilled when Toni signed up to become an accredited coach with the 7 Effect. And, within the first year, I'm like, let's sign you in to become part of their coaching in the Lifestyle Business Builder. But in all seriousness, we've shared some great books and some great techniques with you. Well, the books will tell you the great techniques that you can follow. But if you do get stuck, I highly recommend working with a coach. Can be one of the most profound, enlightening and rapid-paced things that will help you get the change that you need. Because it's one thing to read a book. It's another thing to meditate and do that thing, but to have someone poke around with questions and challenge some of your paradigms and perceptions, it can really be a lot of fun, although it be very challenging. And the results that Toni is getting for our students in the Lifestyle Business Builder is amazing. So my top tip is go see this lady and have her sort your brain out. Thanks, Joyce. It's always a pleasure. My pleasure. And Catherine's got one more comment, The Brain That Changes Itself. Yes, that's another great book as well. Thanks, Catherine, for being here. Thanks, everyone. We better wrap up now. Happy Easter to you all. And let's hope the Easter Bunny comes for you. Brings you a book. Yeah, maybe Easter Bunny will bring you a book. What a great idea. Thanks, Toni. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, See you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Easter. Bye.